All right, Cyber Traders, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Thursday, July 14th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Nice little pop here on the CLNN to begin our afternoon meeting here. Great to see all of our students and members alike inside our live trading room. Mark, Leda, Rob, great to see Michael, Ron as well. Jeff and Lewis joining just shortly behind them. Great to see everybody loud and clear from all. Great to see that as well. All right, so for all of us in social media, great to have you as well here on Facebook Live and YouTube. Let's hop right into it. We ended up seeing the market really make a nice gradual push, heading into the mid-afternoon thus far, shortly after 1 p.m. Eastern Time. SPY there on the top left of my platform, you can see on the 5-minute chart, has made a nice bounce. Ended up bouncing from right under 374, pushing on up steadily here, kind of like holding the last 5 or 10 minutes perhaps right off the highs. But for right now, at least we have the CLNN stock on the screen. Hopefully one of many stocks that will look to make a nice squeeze up higher into the close. This one is not really moving with the SPY, so to say. I know some news came out on this one heading into the open at least, and it ended up taking off shortly from there. So for right now, it's at the highs. Just needless to be said, we'll put a stock like this on our afternoon list to begin. I don't have my level 4 open for this stock, so unfortunately I don't have the levels for this trade, at least from the heat map. So you could at least see just, recently it broke over 4. We ended up seeing a lot of volume get filled initially off the first level test there, and it ended up making the pop shortly after. But look at the reaction after. It's not really doing a whole lot yet. Perhaps if it really solidifies over 4 here, then we could see a nice clean push up higher, much sooner than later. But there's still a lot of time left here, folks. It's not going to shock me, as it's already beginning to do. It's not exactly holding right over 4. So if this really peels back under 4, I would strongly say to watch out. It'd be more due for a drop at that point. So for right now, CLNN, I'll at least just put on our watch list given where it stands here at this time. It's much better to follow a stock right now at the highs or at the lows, especially, if the markets are pushing up like this either way. The CLNN still looks good for right now. So let's see it really hold over 4 for right now. Let's go from top to bottom. Otherwise, we don't have class this afternoon, but we want to make sure that we have enough time to prep ourselves up, get ready for the close at least. The CLVR trade number 2 on the gainers list. While we're at it, just we'll go from top to bottom. This one ended up making a nice big pop heading into the mid to late morning, like real early afternoon, like 12 o'clock and after. So it ended up making a nice trend up from $1, but ended up really gaining some steam by the time it ended up breaking over 125. So once it broke above 125 here, you could see a pretty big volume spike, shortly with that time. And thankfully with this, you can't say this with every stock, easy to say this in hindsight as well. But once it re-broke that resistance, once we saw more buying from the same price level, you would hope for a nice big move up, a continued run. And with this one, at least it gave you that chance. So CLVR was a nice squeeze, at least heading into the late morning or early afternoon. For right now, though, it's pretty flat, dropped off already, peaked at 146 and pulled back down. So I'll come back to this at the end. If it ends up making like a nice pop as we continue, then I'll definitely put it on our watch list at that point, but we'll see. I have one stock in mind that I am in right now. I'll tell you about that trade in a moment. Got my stop set in case if it craps out, but I'll show you in just a bit here across the gainers list. The Kspn trade ended up making a nice push at least just a moment ago. Give me a quick second here. One of us just chatted me saying they can't hear the audio, but I could actually tell from my end I'm actually good. There we go. So with that, just a quick log out, log back in, should you not be able to hear me, but I'll be able to tell otherwise if it's from my end. Trust me, I'll be able to tell. So with that, KSPN ended up making a nice pop, at least heading into the early afternoon, ran from like 430-ish, 440, all the way up towards high of the day off 642. The thing with this stock is that we've seen it just happen over the last couple of trading days, back from Tuesday this week, from Monday coming off of. For as much as it pumps up, it drops down very sharply right away after. And when the volume dies off for this stock, that's when it really begins to happen. So with that, look what already happened. Volume peaked after 2 o'clock. It's been holding support here. Don't get me wrong. So for right now, we'll give it a second look perhaps at the end, much like the CLVR stock. If it makes a big pop, if it holds support here, I'll reconsider it. But history often repeats itself, like I say, right? So, I don't mean that in the sense of this continuing to just pop over this high and run up even more. If that happens, God bless. But I even mean that more on the other way around. See this pop, then dump off. This popped up. Don't be surprised if this dumps right back down into the close. So not fully committed to this KSPN just yet. All right, SISI. This one's not doing a whole lot of anything right now. Let's skip over this. All right, so here's my GOEV trade. I was watching this just earlier with one of our students, Lori, on a coaching call, and hey, I made the call out in the chat board. We were watching big support at 430, and conveniently enough, it lined up perfectly with the VWAP. Couple of cents shy, so not really perfect, but well enough, right? Ended up making a nice bounce right from that area, broke under, back over, and I'm in from 433. So, we're up at least 11 cents on this trade, 10 cents so far. I did tell Lori after we finished up the call, because I think that she still may be in this trade, or she may have gotten back in perhaps, to say that 450 is a really strong level here. So if this really fails to, break higher soon enough, don't be surprised if this ends up dumping back down here. So I told her I'm playing it really home run or bust. That's like, how I phrased it. And by bust, I mean like completely break even. So I'm not going to lose a singular penny from my profit that I made this morning. It took me a little while to get into the plus side today too. So you definitely don't want to give it back. But some good news has come out on GOEV the last few trading days. It made a big move this morning. VWAP's a really strong level with that 430. So when a stock breaks through a big level, we should be seeing a pretty big move shortly after. So, the fact it's under 450 here is not too good. It needs to break right back over 450, well, for my sake, much sooner than later. Because if it holds under it, I could easily see it dragging back down and stopping me out clean break even. For right now, at least, it's still tradable. So I'm going to put this on our watch list. Very liquid stock. Just because I'm in it doesn't mean I'm going to put it on the watch list, folks. For any of our regular attendees here, you certainly know that. There are times where I'm in trades and it's like super flat, super slow. This has slowed down a little bit, but from the morning that it will become a lot more volatile over the next hour and 20 minutes. So, we'll see if this can sling back over 450 much sooner than later here. All right, so we got the GOEV, and the CLNN stock, at least on our watch list so far. We got YSG, not nice, right at the highs of the day, actually making pretty close to a full recovery off of yesterday's move down. I mean, we didn't trade the stock yesterday, but I'm just saying it dropped off yesterday, making a pretty much a full recovery still, heading into this afternoon. So, the YSG right now, I definitely like this. Looks great. I'll put this right away on our watch list. And otherwise, let's see what else we got here. The Tilray Trade, we have ACB, a few different pot cannabis stocks. We've traded those back from like as early as 2018. We've seen these run really nicely over the years. So Tilray had a nice pop heading into like right away at 12 o'clock. It seems popped up really nicely. But afterwards, not a whole lot happening since. I guess it did make a small bounce off 350, but this is like a pretty slow moving stock right now. I'd want to see a lot more life being pumped into this trade here before I'm thinking about it. The ACB stock, though, this is actually looking pretty strong in direction, at least, and it's moving a lot slower compared to Tilray even. Pot stock ETF, MJ, it's at the highs right now, right? This is looking pretty strong. CGC, another pot stock here, making the same type of move as Tilray. It's not exactly at the HOD just yet. I'll come back to these at the end if I need to, folks. Not fully committed to them. They a lot of times they've also been teases heading into this time of the day too. Like they've made a nice morning move and that was it. FFIE, hey, this still has a lot of life left to it, trading about 40,000 shares a minute roughly. Ended up making a huge run from earlier, roughly around the same time as GOEV did. GOEV is moving back on up to 450 as we speak. You obviously know I'm watching that on a separate screen here, separate monitor. But with that, I mean, hey, if there is any sort of correlation between those two, which I'm just speculating with that's completely shooting from the hip. But, if there is, and GOEV is moving on up right now a little bit, well, look what's starting to make a nice bounce back up as we speak. FFIE. I don't mind slipping this on our list again here. This has been a nice stock to watch the last week and a half. I haven't even been trading this one as much myself. And just saying this has been pretty tradable. I mean, obviously made a big pop up like a week and a half ago, and it's been steady since in this consolidation under the highs, but just it has a liquid order book. It's right within our price range. It's trading a lot of volume per minute. It's exactly what you would want to have. Michael called out AFRM, a firm, earlier today, another stock that seemingly is a great sideless stock. This one definitely a lot more name brand than where you could rely on this being more of a sideless stock comparative to that other one. But even this one making a nice little push up from earlier, pushing back up with the S&P here. Hasn't broken a new high just yet. SPY is really pushing up pretty nicely as of now. So AFRM, I wouldn't mind adding to our list here at the end. I'm going to cherry pick all of these at the end here pretty much. CLVR, KSPN, AFRM. AFRM looks great right now, but not fully committed to it just yet. Let's see if there's anything else looking even better. All right, familiar name here. I didn't see this one up until right now. What was this, REV? Just a moment ago here. This one's not trading a lot of volume per minute compared to what we've normally seen it trade. It's at the highs, right? But we've seen this have way more volatility to it, way more volume to it. I always say that volume promotes volatility, and volatility is not always a bad word to say. It's a good word you would want to have sometimes, and this would be the type of trade that needs a kick in the pants. So this trade here, REV, not fully sold on it just yet. Got you, same thing. I'm gonna scrap both of those in total. PLRX. Nope. Same thing with this one. Pretty flat for a $20 stock. All right, that's all right, folks. I mean, market's moving on up. If there's anything else that's looking really good, up or down, we'll go through it. Type it in the chat board if there's anything that you see that looks great first. Let's just jump over to the loser side here. Got the CFRX stock, just really cheap. It was down huge though, 83+%. So I'm sure that will be a nice DCB over time. Dead cat bounce. Mark, shout out to Mark here. I know he missed one trade recently. Actually, probably for the better, Mark, because I told you right away after you said that 50 was a big support. So I don't think that you missed too much on that one. But Mark was killing it on the Novavax trade earlier today. I don't know what news came out. I honestly just didn't have my ear to the ground on the news for this trade, whether it's earnings or whatever it has to do with maybe their COVID vaccine or whatever other vaccines they got, but took a huge hit heading into the market open this morning. Ended up dropping from like 65 all the way down to LOD off of 50 right away. Right? So for what it's worth, as much as it dropped, making a nice squeeze at least here off the 50 level. So I don't mind slipping this on our list. This thing is, although expensive, and although it has a thin order book, which you would expect for a more expensive stock, especially like NVAX here, it's to say that this is very volatile, right? We just said it before on the other one. We want volatility at times. This is it, making a nice squeeze. So maybe this will begin to top off at some point, perhaps around 55, and then begin to pull back. That's just a very loose thought, but we'll see what happens there coming up. Nice trade on the NVAX, bouncing off the 50 level. ILPT, not a whole lot happening there, albeit shortable. We'll pass on it for right now. EGY, same thing. Bit of a volume spike there recently, but not enough to really get me going. All right, what goes up comes back down, right? SIGA, what a short this one was today. Ended up, peeling back after the market opened up and only continued to make lower highs after. Even now, squeezed up from like 1285, 1286, and then, recently you can see it's making a bit of a lower high, rounded top there. So SIGA is, tradable in the sense of the move that it made, but even this one's not trading a lot of volume per minute. Like there's not a lot of volume on this trade. So does that mean that it's, easier for this to drop off? It's more susceptible without any buying for this to drop off? I mean, I reckon, but what if we stop seeing selling? What if we stop seeing shorting interest coming in on this trade? It's not going to drop off as much then. It's just going to flatten out and die off. So, right now, SIGA, it's definitely on our side list right now. I feel like the AFRM on the way up, the KSPN also, and CLVR look better. But if you do well on the stock day over day or have been recently, then I'm sure it'll be a stock that you'll personally be more inclined to follow. That's all. All right, folks, there's definitely a lot more that's up and there's definitely a lot more that's down. If there's anything else that does look good, type it in the chat board. That's how we work together as a team here. Let me know if there's anything that looks good from your end. I'll check it out here at the or just right now, and we'll see if there's anything else that we could add on to our list. So far, we got CLNN, we got the GOEV, we got YSG, FFIE, and VAX, Novavax. Michael on a firm short, picking up 12 cents on his trade from 22.50 inside our live trading room. Mark posting some news on NVAX there. It fails to boost the stock as demand for, I guess they have a protein-based vaccine approval that failed. All right. Latest is John Shack testing the 45 level. SHAK. Yeah, it's up 6%, moving on up a bit. For a more expensive stock, you would want to see it trade a lot more volume per minute than what it's doing right now. And you could say the same on a lot of different trades. I mean, I even just said it on SIGA, which is like right within our wheelhouse as far as a price. So for right now, this one, it's at, having a nice day. Nice couple of days there, perhaps due for a nice bounce coming up. All right, let's check out the KSPN here. KSPN still kind of holding around these prices off the 6 level, beginning to push back over 6 for right now. So listen, this is trading a lot of volume per minute, even though the volume bars keep getting smaller and smaller the last 15, 20, 30 minutes, right? So if this could hold over 6 from here or very shortly after we finish up this meeting, and if it squeezes up off of 6, then great. I'm going to put this on our list here. This will make the cut. But if this ends up crashing right back down under 6 right now and holds under it, then I would write it off. It wouldn't be a good sign then in that case. So AFRM, nice short from Michael as he just posted inside our live trading room. This is just a tradable stock. It's up a lot, or it's up a decent amount today. I'm sure you could say the same on a number of different trades like that today. Maybe like an RBLX. I'm just shooting from the hip with that. I haven't checked out Roblox today. Roblox up 1.4%. So perhaps not the case there. But nonetheless, if there are any stocks that are like making a move with the market, unless if it's like really showing a lot more volume being traded compared to usual, which it seems like across the board, that's not going to be the case, right? Unless if it's like a small cap cheapy stock, which I'm not really like looking to harp on too much. So it's all right for right now. I mean, the AFRM was looking all right. If you're doing good on that stock day over day, it's a good side list stock for you to prioritize. CLVR here, I said I'd jump back to at the end. This is not looking so hot right now. I guess you could say unless it holds support and pops up from here perhaps, but it's already making a lower high and dragging back down. So we'll keep our eyes on this secondarily, after 3 o'clock. If there's nothing else from the main list that's moving to begin, then perhaps we'll jump back to this. Then perhaps we'll jump back to the, AFRM or the, the others. Janice says Riot, RIOT. So I know Bitcoin's been making a nice little move up today, right? So Riot's moving up to a small degree, but it's like very slow moving. So is this likely to make a 50, 60, 70 cent pop heading into the close here? I just don't believe so. And I'll tell you what, I certainly say that with experience because we've seen these crypto mining related stocks all the time. The Bitcoin mining related stocks, they don't make afternoon moves. They'll make moves in the morning, pre-market, after the open, into this time, into right now. But if you go back on like various meetings on our YouTube channel back from like, I mean, the whole like last year, but like, November of last year, December, October, September of last, you'd always hear me say that in the afternoon meetings here. Pretty interesting. So we'll see if it ends up peaking and then dumping off or what. But right now, I'm not fully sold on the cryptos altogether. I got a couple more myself I'm catching here at the very end, then we'll wrap up. CEAD, this is not trading a lot of volume right now, so that I'll pass on. It seemed like that was starting to make a small push. HTGM, It's up 7.5%, but this one's also pretty slow and flat. Hasn't broken out just yet. Last one here, FREQ. Nope. All right, folks. I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we got so far heading into this Thursday afternoon, and that's all right. Markets are pushing up pretty nicely still, so it's a great overall day. If there's any moves that you're following in terms of name brand stocks, just make sure that it's volatile enough to give you an opportunity, right? Like for instance, doesn't seem like American Airlines is going to make a big move back up. And even if it does squeeze back up, it's not going to make a big move, right? It's a slower moving trade. You'd say the same thing on a stock like Ford. You'd say the same thing on a stock like, SoFi. So Affirm, that's why I was like, all right, Affirm's a good sideless stock because as a $20 trade, it trades good volume. It's been relatively volatile. So just make sure it's worth the squeeze in that sense. All right. For all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, I appreciate you sticking with me each and every day. Back in my normal saddle here. Fausto's back on the morning, so had a nice fresh mouth here across the afternoon. It's been nice. It's good to be back in my seat, at least my normal saddle. So with that, any questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions, anything that you would like to send over my way, please feel more than free to send it over to my email address, josh@ctutrading.com. I always like to post my email address at the end of the streams. But aside from that, though, if you're looking to join our live trading room to continue the audio commentary here this afternoon, I know that Rich will be back on the mic himself at 3 o'clock. I'll be back on at 3:30 myself. But otherwise, whether it be today, tomorrow, or even next week, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below right there at the bottom of the stream to get started. But for Michael and Janice and Leda and all of us just live there, like I said, I'll be back on the mic right at 3:30, folks, taking us into the market close. Talk to you soon.
Today, you are invited into the Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.